Welcome back, everybody, to the Upper Tier Podcast. This is the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly show. The show we bring you each and every week where we dissect down the good, the bad, and the ugly from this week's Premier League results. Where do we begin? Let's run through the results. First of all, Man City 5, Arsenal nil. Awful result for Arsenal, rooted to the bottom of the table. Aston Villa 1, Brentford 1, Brighton nil, Everton 2, Newcastle 2, Southampton 2. Norwich 1, Leicester 2, West Ham 2, Palace 2, Liverpool 1, Chelsea 1, Burnley 1, Leeds 1, Spurs 1, Watford nil, Wolves nil, Man United 1. Let's go through first of all the good. Like to start with the good stuff, of course. Get the week off to a good start on a Monday. Brentford continued their good form. Absolutely brilliant start to the season. Point away at Palace, 3 points at home at Arsenal, and now a point away at Villa. Absolutely lighting up the Premier League. Absolutely delighted for him. Great to see these clubs coming up after being promoted. Brand new stadium, great fans, and doing really, really well. Surprising everyone, thank God. Absolutely brilliant from them, and long may it continue. Tottenham, top of the league. Nuno pulling off a masterclass. Absolutely brilliant start for Nuno. Maximum points, 3 games, 3 wins, top of the league. Um, Kind of a bit of a kick in the arse really for their rivals Arsenal, who are bottom of the league. Who would have saw that coming? Arsenal bottom and Spurs top. Looks like all that Harry Kane nonsense is behind him now. It looks like he's staying there, so it's not going to be a problem going forward. He looked decent yesterday. Son, of course, was on form with the goal. But they had to weather a decent storm there from Watford yesterday to grind out the 3 points. So fair play to Spurs, absolutely lighting up the Premier League as well. Great stuff from them. Also in the good, obviously we have to mention Greenwood for Man United. Absolutely brilliant goal yesterday. Heavily reliant on him. His finishing is absolutely clinical. I think they mentioned in the commentary, he never shoots off target. It's always on target, always low, and always awkward for the keeper. We also have to mention De Gea pulled off an absolutely brilliant save, and Varane, who also pulled off a couple of last-ditch tackles to spare United's blushes. In fairness, Wolves would have been well valued for the draw and probably could have won the game, but just their finishing wasn't good yesterday. So their troubles still continue. But good from Greenwood and good from De Gea and Varane. Good start for Varane making his debut for Man United. Let's move on to the bad. Newcastle, Brucey, he can't catch a break. Sure, he can't. He thinks he scores the winner in the 91st minute, and then up pops, uh, you know, 96th minute. Where we Southampton pop up James Ward-Prowse. I think it was a penalty to grind out the draw. But Steve Bruce at the moment, you just cannot catch a break between VAR decisions and other decisions going against him. And then this game here at the weekend where James Ward-Prowse just pops up, I think, with a penalty in the 96th minute to steal the draw away from him. So still trouble there for Brucey at Newcastle. Wonder how long the Geordie faithful will stay loyal to him. Shall see. Villa, I suppose you have to put in the bad as well. They've probably had a poor start to the season if you think about it, with the investment they've made and the players they've come in. There would have been a huge expectation in the fan base in terms of Aston Villa and what they would achieve this year, probably looking or aiming for at least the top six. But seem to have stuttered, lost their first game against Watford, won against Newcastle, which you would expect because Newcastle are struggling, but then drew at the weekend against Brentford, a game that they probably would have thought that they would have won but didn't. So still a bit of work for Dean Smith at Villa to do in terms of organising and sorting his players and stuff like that. A lot of new players in there, so I'm sure they're all trying to get the grips with each other and stuff like that. West Ham with a poor result at Palace. They drew 2-2. Conor Gallagher, I think, scored 2 beautiful goals in that game. But West Ham would have expected to beat Palace. But drawn 2-2. Not a good result for West Ham, but they have started off the season decent with some really good results. Dave Moyes doing a fantastic job down there. Of course, Mikel Antonio on the mark again and with an assist. He's going to have an unbelievable season. So good things ahead for West Ham. But again, this would have been 2 points dropped, I'd say, in Moyes' eyes. Liverpool, we have to talk about in terms of the bad. Their second half, it was just so lackluster, void of ideas against a 10-man Chelsea. It was repeatability, no sort of ingenuity at all. The substitutions came late. I think the Thiago substitution could have happened much earlier. I spoke about it on the match reaction show. Again, to me, it felt like a loss. This to me is definitely 2 points dropped, especially when you're up against a 10-man Chelsea. We should have found a way to break them down, but we didn't. So unfortunately, that lands us in the bad this week. Leeds labouring. They've had a bit of a struggle to the start of the season, but a late Bamford goal sealed a point for them against Burnley. You can obviously rely on Patrick Bamford to pop up and get a goal, can't you? But Leeds, they just seem a little bit off the boil at the moment. Bielsa with a bit of work still to do there. And of course, in the bad, we have to put Wolves, even though they played really well yesterday. They just seem to be misfiring and it's really costing them. They can't seem to put the ball in the back of the net, can't seem to find a goal. In theory, they could have had 2 or 3 in the first half yesterday. And if you don't take your chances against United, you know what's going to happen there. They're eventually going to break you down and score a goal, and you will pay if you haven't built up a couple of goals. So a lot of work still to be done for Wolves there. Good to see Raul Jimenez back, but it's going to take him time to get back to where he was. Adama Traore still frustrates me at times. He's such a good player with plenty of talent, but just seems to stray offside constantly and cost his team these little breakdowns at times. So yeah, just with Wolves, there's just a lot of work to do there, and if they're not careful, they're going to find themselves in a relegation battle very quickly. Let's move on to the ugly, and there can only be one thing in the ugly, as you can see over my shoulder, and it's Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. What has happened at Arsenal? My God, what a fall from grace. I cannot believe it. I know they've had a couple of injuries. Partey was out and a number of other players are out, but still, when you think of the teams that they've had to play against, I mean, they should be beating Brentford. Chelsea, you would expect them to put up a much better fight against Chelsea. They were void of ideas, no pattern of play or anything like that. And then they went out against City. Most of us would expect City to beat them, but it's the way in which they beat them. They absolutely tore them asunder and made them look like a Division 4 team or something like that. And Arsenal are playing with no confidence at all. Obviously, losing Granit Xhaka was a huge part in the thing in the outcome of the game as well. But even when Xhaka was on the pitch, Man City seemed to be doing a number on them. And when you're going in 2-footed like that, I know a lot of Arsenal fans will come on and say that he didn't make contact. He didn't make contact, but he did go in 2-footed with the studs up. And if you do that, you're only giving the referee a decision to make. So, unfortunate for Granit Xhaka, Arsenal fans will argue probably should have been a yellow. The letter of the law would say that it's a red. But after that, even though down to 10 men, I mean, Man City just picked them apart. And to be honest, the scoreline of 5-0 didn't justify the game at all. Man City could have won this by 8 or 9-0 in reality. And it's amazing to see Pep, even when he has the game won, how calculated he is. He's just bloodthirsty to absolutely get more and more and more. But for Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, serious trouble. Big decisions to be made there at Arsenal. They've spent about 130 million. Doesn't seem to have improved the squad greatly. Ben White obviously was out injured, and Partey was out injured. Aubameyang played, may as well have not been on the pitch. Lacazette may as well have not been on the pitch. Doesn't look like they're playing very well in terms of confidence for their manager either. And I think, to be honest with you, Mikel Arteta, if he's there at the end of the international break, I'd be shocked. And if he is there, I think he has as far as the Spurs game. And if results don't go his way, I think that will be the end of the Mikel Arteta era at Arsenal. But this has been your good, bad, and ugly look back at the Premier League results for Week 3 review. Drop your comments down below in the video, or if you want to contact us, of course, we're on Twitter at @the_upper_tier. If you want to hit us up on Facebook, the upper tier, or if you want to hit us up on Instagram, the upper tier, or if you want to check us out, of course, we're on the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. You'll also find audio versions of the show on Spotify. Head over there, and we will talk to you again real soon.